women to besides himself. And you said himself, there's no credible information, none. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And Kennedy, the information we have, again, is limited. And Senator Kennedy said, the answer is no one. And you said, for the information we have. So is it your testimony today that in all the Epstein files, that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked no one to anyone but himself? Is that your testimony, Mr.
I never said Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic anyone else.
Did he traffic any young woman to someone other than himself? That was Mr. Kennedy's question, Senator Kennedy's question.
The information that 3 administrations have had access to have made determinations that there are no investigative leads that were credible to prosecute and investigate any others. I'm specifically
I'm asking
stating
you whether
we
your
were working
testimony today.
You just read it, and I said it 10 minutes ago, so let the record reflect my testimony.
I just want to make sure there's no misunderstanding, because there are victims like Virginia Weaver who have testified otherwise, who have said otherwise, and you're telling the American people today that the Epstein list is a single name and it's Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we're to believe?
That's not what I'm saying. That's what you're saying. And
well,
you can say whatever you want.
Let me ask you this.
If you live anywhere here in the red circled area and you have an old, struggling air conditioning or heating system, right now we have an offer going on where we can get you.
What happens when a Senate hearing stops being about answers and turns into a meltdown? Watch closely, because when Senator Adam Schiff presses FBI Director Kash Patel on political retaliation and the Epstein files, the facts don't collapse, but Patel's composure does.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel, during your confirmation hearing, you made several important commitments. For instance, you told Senator Coons there will be no politicization at the FBI. There'll be no retributive actions taken by any FBI should I be confirmed as FBI Director. So let me ask you very specifically, did you ever take any action to terminate or discipline an FBI agent or employee in whole or in part as retribution for being part of an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th?
No.
You also committed, you assured Senator Blumenthal, all FBI employees will be protected against political retribution. So you're testifying today that you played no role in the firing of even a single FBI agent for political retribution.
None for political retribution.
And if any FBI agent said you did, they would be lying. Is that your testimony?
I'm only speaking to my actions. Everybody is allowed to make their allegations.
Oh, no, these are allegations against you.
And
so, Mr. Patel, if FBI, senior FBI agents or employees said that you were firing them for political retribution reasons because of the cases they were assigned, you're saying they would be lying.
Anyone that was terminated at the FBI was done so for failing to meet the standards, uphold their constitutional oath, and effectuate the mission.
Well, by meet the standards, are you talking about meet the standards of protecting the president under any circumstance?
No.
You also guaranteed Senator Blumenthal that every FBI employee will be held to the absolute same standard. No one will be terminated for case assignments. Are you testifying today that you never terminated anyone at the FBI, in whole or in part, because of a prior case assignment?
No one at the FBI is terminated for case assignments alone.
Well, I'm asking about you, Mr. Patel. Did you, in whole or in part, terminate anyone at the FBI because they worked on the Trump investigation or because they worked on January 6th?
No one at the FBI has been terminated for case assignments alone.
Okay, you're saying alone. Does that mean they were terminated in part because they were assigned to a January 6th case or assigned to the Mar-a-Lago case? You're being very precise here, Mr. Patel. You're saying alone. That means they were fired in part because they were assigned those cases. Is that your testimony?
Absolutely not. But if you want to keep
Okay,
words
well, then let me ask you, let's strip away the word alone. Did you terminate or participate in any discipline of any FBI employee in whole or in part because of their work on an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th? Yes or no?
Any terminations at the FBI by employees.
No, I'm asking you a very specific
question. I'm going to answer the question, but you don't like the answer because it's the truth.
I want to answer my question. I don't want to answer someone else's question. So let me just be precise, and I ask for a yes or no answer. Did you ever terminate or discipline an FBI employee in whole or in part because they had been assigned or worked on an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th?
FBI
yes or no?
employees are only terminated
yes
if
or no,
they fail to uphold their oath of
yes
office
or no?
and duty.
You're not answering my question.
I don't have to answer your question yes or no because you're setting up a trap so you can have a media
I'm not setting
narrative.
up a trap.
And I'm not giving it to you.
Unless it's true that you fired people.
People have been terminated at the FBI who failed to uphold. I'm not given it to you.
Unless it's true that you fired people.
People
in
have been
whole or in part
terminated at
because
the FBI who failed to uphold
you're
the
assigned
standards
to.
that the FBI requires them to uphold.
Did you tell anyone at the FBI that all FBI employees who they identified who had worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs? Did you tell that to someone at the FBI?
Say that I would remove people for case assignments?
That people that were identified as having worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs. Did you tell that to someone at the FBI?
People are not removed
Just
for case
answer my
assignments.
question. Just answer my question. Did you tell that to
People
someone?
are not removed for case
No,
assignments.
you're not answering my question.
And I would
Mr.
never
Patel,
tell anyone.
Did you tell someone at the FBI that FBI employees identified as having worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs? Yes or no? Did you tell someone that?
I would never tell anyone at the FBI that they're being removed for basically their case assignments.
Okay, so anyone who had said that would be lying. Is that your testimony?
Anyone can say whatever they want.
No, I know, but you're saying they were a liar.
I'm telling you what I said.
Because this is in the complaint against you, Mr. Patel. So you're saying Mr. Driscoll and others are liars?
I'm not going to address the complaint in the ongoing
Okay, well then let me ask you, have you ever told anyone at the FBI that the FBI tried to put the president in jail and he hasn't forgotten it, and that your job depended on the removal of agents who worked on cases against the president?
No.
Did you ever tell anyone that?
No.
Okay. Did you ever tell anyone that you knew these summary firings you were undertaking were illegal, likely illegal, and that you would be sued and later deposed? Did you ever tell anyone that?
No firings at the FBI or terminations were done for anything other than justified
Did you ever
cause.
tell anyone that, Mr.
No,
Patel? Why don't you
no
answer my question?
terminations at the FBI were ever done in my tenure for anything other than failing.
Did you
to
ever tell
uphold
anyone
their
that,
oath of
Mr. Patel? You willing to
office
answer
or
the question?
The FBI.
I guess you're
have
not willing to answer
answered
the
it.
question. So let me move on. Let me move on to the Epstein files. You said you're the most transparent FBI director in history, so I'm going to put you to the test. In 2024, you were asked by Glenn Beck about Epstein's Black Book. And you said, he asked, who has Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book? And you said, Black Book FBI. And he said, but who? That is, I mean, there's, and you said, oh, that's under the direct control of the director of the FBI. That's what you said. Was that true, Mr. Patel?
I'll rely on you quoting it accurately. I did that a
Was
couple
it
years
true
ago.
what you represented to Mr. Beck and the president's supporters out there, or were you lying? Was it true that the Black Book, Epstein's Black Book, was in the possession of the FBI director?
The Black Book was in the possession of the FBI.
Okay, so now that you're the FBI director, you have possession of the Black Book, right?
That index has been released.
So you have Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book?
What is known as Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book has been released
Okay,
by us.
And you released it. And let me follow up on Senator Kennedy's question, because he asked you, and I'll be very precise here. You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself? And you said, himself, there's no credible information, none. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And Kennedy, the information we have, again, is limited. And Senator Kennedy said, the answer is no one. And you said, for the information we have. So is it your testimony today that in all of the Epstein files, that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked no one to anyone but himself? Is that your testimony, Mr.
I never said Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic anyone else.
Did he traffic any young woman to someone other than himself? That was Mr. Kennedy's question,
And I
Senator Kennedy's
said
question.
the information that 3 administrations have had access to
I'm
have
asking-
made determinations that there are no investigative leads that were credible to prosecute and investigate any others. I am specifically
I'm asking
stating
you whether
we
it's
were
your
working on.
testimony today.
Well, you just read it, and I said
I-
it 10 minutes ago, so I'll let the record investigate any others. I am
Well,
specifically
I'm asking
stating
you whether
we
it's
were
your
working on.
testimony today.
Well, you just read it, and I said
I-
it 10 minutes ago, so I'll let the record reflect my testimony.
I just want to make sure there's no misunderstanding, because there are victims like Virginia Weaver who have testified otherwise, who have said otherwise, and you're telling the American people today that the Epstein list is a single name and it's Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we're to believe?
That's not what I'm saying. That's what you're saying, and
Well,
you
let
can
me
say
let me
whatever
ask
you
you. Let me
want.
ask you this: when Todd Blanche went to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, she said, "But did I think these guys were coming for that? I really don't. If you met Epstein, there's no way that this cast of characters, of which it's extraordinary, and some are in your cabinet, who you value as your co-workers, and would be with him if he was a creep or because they wanted sexual favors. A man wants sexual favors, he will find out. They didn't have to come to Epstein for that." And the next question Todd Blanche, the president's former criminal defense lawyer, asked is not who in the cabinet, who are you referring to? His question is, so when's the last time you think you were with Mr. Epstein when he got a massage? So let me ask you, who are those cabinet members that Ghislaine Maxwell was referring to that that were part of this cast of characters associated with Mr. Epstein? Who are they?
The Deputy Attorney General took the aggressive step that no one else did and interviewed Ms. Maxwell for 2 days, and we released the entirety of that transcript. I do not have that transcript in front of me. You're picking it piecemeal. The American public can read the entirety of that.
One last question, because you clearly won't tell us the cabinet members associated with Mr. Epstein. Let me ask you one last question. And that is, right after she gives this testimony in front of an FBI agent, among others, she's transferred to a minimum security prison not suitable for a sex offender like herself. Who made that decision and why?
The Bureau of Prisons.
The Bureau of Decisions made it in
Prisons.
The Bureau of Prisons decided on their own, without any consultation with Blanche or anyone else, that they were going to suddenly, after this interview, completely unrelated to this interview, completely unrelated to anything she said, move her to a prison not suitable for a sex offender. You want the American people to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No, I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of inmates. What I am doing is protecting this country, providing historic reform, and combating the weaponization of intelligence by the likes of you. And we have countlessly proven you to be a liar in Russiagate, in January 6th. You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised that you continue to lie from your perch and put on a show so you can go raise money for your charade. You are a political buffoon at best.
Well, you can take an internet troll.
Take it to the bank that the FBI is protecting this country and the state and citizens of California. We are bringing historic reform. Point of order. But all you care about is a child sex predator that was prosecuted by a prior administration, and the Obama Justice Department and the Biden Justice Department did squat. And what did President Trump do? Bring new charges courageously. And what have we done?
Chairman,
you said I'm the most transparent FBI director in history. 33,000 pages of information to you. I challenge you to say anything credibly to the truth. Go ahead and run to the cameras where you want to go next.
You be quiet before I go to Senator Tillis.
What unfolded in that hearing goes far beyond a tense back and forth. It is a case study in how power reacts when oversight actually does its job. Senator Adam Schiff was not performing for the cameras. He was walking through a logical chain that any serious oversight body would use when testing sworn testimony. He began with commitments made during confirmation, because those commitments are not political talking points. They are the basis on which the Senate consents to entrust someone with enormous authority over federal law enforcement. What viewers need to understand is why Schiff kept returning to the same question, slightly rephrased each time. In legal and oversight settings, repetition is not redundancy. It is a method. When a witness avoids a direct answer, narrowing language and inserting qualifiers like alone, in part, or to my knowledge, the examiner strips those qualifiers away to see what remains. That is not a trap. That is how you test whether someone is telling the truth consistently or hiding behind technicalities. Redundancy. It is a method. When a witness avoids a direct answer, narrowing language and inserting qualifiers like alone, in part, or to my knowledge, the examiner strips those qualifiers away to see what remains. That is not a trap. That is how you test whether someone is telling the truth consistently or hiding behind technicalities. Patel's repeated refusal to answer yes or no is itself information. It tells you that a straightforward answer would create a problem. Pay attention to the phrase Patel kept leaning on, case assignments alone. That single word does an enormous amount of work for him. It leaves open the possibility that case assignments were part of the reason for terminations, just not the only reason. In oversight terms, that is a red flag. It suggests a constructed defense rather than a clear factual denial. Schiff's persistence was about making that distinction visible to the public, not just to lawyers reading a transcript later. The exchange becomes even more revealing when it shifts to the Epstein files. Patel has built a public persona around being the most transparent FBI director in history. Transparency, however, is not measured by how many pages are dumped online. It is measured by whether statements made to the public align with testimony under oath. When Schiff confronted Patel with his prior claim that Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book was under the direct control of the FBI director, Patel did not deny saying it. Instead, he blurred definitions, pivoted to releases and indexes, and leaned on procedural language. That is not clarification. That is retreat. Here is the critical educational point for viewers. Transparency without accountability is not transparency at all. Saying, read the transcript, is meaningless if leadership refuses to interpret or stand behind what those records imply. Victims like Virginia Giuffre did not spend years testifying publicly just to be told implicitly that the investigative record leads nowhere beyond Epstein himself. When a government official suggests there were no credible investigative leads involving anyone else, despite extensive public reporting and sworn victim statements, that disconnect demands explanation. Schiff was pressing on that gap. The moment Patel pivoted from defensive testimony to personal attacks is where institutional norms truly broke down. Oversight hearings are designed to absorb pressure. They are adversarial by design, but they are governed by restraint. When a witness responds to questioning by attacking the questioner's character, motives, and legitimacy, it signals something deeper than frustration. It signals that the witness no longer believes they owe the institution an answer. That is dangerous, because the FBI's authority depends on public trust in its neutrality and professionalism. For viewers trying to make sense of this emotionally, it helps to humanize what is at stake. FBI agents are career professionals who swear an oath to the Constitution, not to a president or a political movement. When leadership leaves even the appearance that agents could be punished for the cases they were assigned, morale suffers and independence erodes. For victims of powerful abusers, every act of obfuscation reinforces the belief that there are two systems of justice, one for the connected and one for everyone else. This is why Schiff's line of questioning mattered, and why Patel's maction mattered even more. Oversight is not harassment, transparency is not volume, and accountability is not optional just because questions are uncomfortable. What you witnessed was not simply a tantrum in the colloquial sense, it was a collision between institutional oversight and a leadership style that treats scrutiny as an attack. If you value independent law enforcement, real transparency, and a justice system that does not flinch when power is questioned, this is a moment worth paying attention to. Share this analysis, stay engaged, and keep watching these hearings closely. Accountability only works when the public understands what it is seeing and